You mentioned Mr. Beast and the Paul brothers and Cristiano Ronaldo, The Rock. Those people have invested in their personal brand. So now whatever they touch, gold. You could take out tequila, you could take out a power drink, whatever. Jordan was the first content creator. He didn't have a cell phone. He just did unbelievable things on the court that got captured by a camera. And Nike was like, we want that content being represented by our brand, or us representing that. And that was like the first like big influencer that a brand said, here's a ton of money, we're gonna build something around you, right? And when you go back to the Michael Jordan model, the first thing they did is, how do we make that brand name something that people are gonna gravitate towards? What's up, everyone? Welcome to The Formula. Today's a very special day. I'm shooting a podcast with a dear friend of mine, business partners. We've been through the trenches together. And right now he's got a really, really cool thing that he's working on. Have you ever been, you've been trying to figure out how to launch your own product or monetize on your influence? I know I have a lot of clients on the AMG side. I'm talking to you guys. You have all this influence. Maybe you even have capital and you don't know what to do with it. Mike has really figured out the formula in order for you guys to do this. I'm super excited to bring him on. Mike Alfaro, visionary entrepreneur in the CPG industry. Welcome to The Formula. It's weird because the reason you come into partnership with people is because they complement you, right? But if you're, let's say, an operating partner and you got to show up every day at 8 a.m. and you have to put in 60, 70 hours, but then your other partner is maybe the investor relations guy and he's bringing in the bread and you need the investment of the capital. So you need that partner to be there. But that partner is going out and having dinners with the investors and maybe going to play golf. And he's doing his job and you're doing yours. It's inevitable that people are going to feel a certain type of way about it. And the main reason why you got together was because of those differences, but that's also a reason for you to feel slighted or feel like maybe there's unfairness. Yeah. Aligning those visions is really challenging. It's got to be something where like, listen, I am happy and I love showing up and doing this.
But you know when the only time when that works is when the company works.
Like if everything is flowing.
The company's flowing good, you're making money, the business is generating revenue, and you're all in the right direction. It's much easier to be on the rowboat and rowing in the same direction when you're going with the tide. Yeah. And the current's going against you and shit's hitting the fan and cash is tight and you're not able to get access to capital and the business isn't turning the corner. Those are the moments when it gets tense because those are the experiences that cause
frustration,
the pain, right? Yeah. The pain that companies endure, right? And I think one of the other, valuable experiences that I learned throughout all of that was you need to build a business that's driven around actually solving a problem and generating revenue. And although previous businesses were solving problems, if you're not focused on revenue generation and actually having cash flow, sustainability independently, then you're left with this kind of vulnerable aspect of your business. That,
you have a time clock.
Yeah. At a certain point, the market doesn't align with where you're at. You're outpacing kind of like the need for the capital it's just that dries up a little bit. The investor questions the mark. And now you find yourself in a position where it's like, oh shit, we have to give up more than we wanted to. Yeah. When, that's where the pain gets inflicted. Like when things are going good, everybody's pumped, everybody's running together, like shit's good. When shit hits a fan is when you really start to see the pain, and then that's when true colors come out. But
and it's funny because you mentioned revenue, and it's like some people launch a business to sell it, and they're like, and when you do that, you put like an X on a calendar and say by this date we're gonna sell. And you build the business under that, then you're focused only in value, right? But if you happen to miss that deadline for whatever reason, right? The next day after you were supposed to sell and you didn't, now you have an unsustainable business. Now you have a business not generating revenue, as you're saying. It could be valuable, but what if nobody wants to buy it at that moment? Or based on market conditions, people are willing to give you half of what it's really worth because nobody wants it at that moment. If you build it with revenue in mind and the business can sustain itself forever and somebody wants to come in and buy it, now they got to pay top dollar because you don't need to sell it and you're choosing to sell it. There's a huge difference. So everybody should have an exit strategy, but you shouldn't make your exit strategy the business strategy.
Do you think, and this is a question, do you think that each individual or entrepreneur has a different internal drive for how they build their business versus like outside market perspective into what they should be doing because of the industry they're in or how that industry works? Like, do you think certain entrepreneurs tick a certain way, or do you think that no, the business is in an XYZ industry and for that reason it has to have an exit play that works like this?
In my experience, I think 80% of people don't even think about this.
You're right.
And I think the ones that do think about it have like a self-driving motivation that's irrelevant of market conditions. Very few, I would say the top 1% would probably look around and say like, I own an accounting firm. By the time I'm 70 years old, I'm going to retire. How am I going to exit this? I'm going to sell it. Like, and then I'll cash that out and whatever. Very few. Maybe startups and entrepreneurs that are like, maybe like more seasoned, or maybe they've been punched in the mouth before.
Like understanding that, hey, like that is a key aspect
that
of why you build a business. Like,
but I don't think most entrepreneurs do it. I actually think the beginning part of entrepreneurship is a very delusional world. I think you think you're going to build the next Facebook. And one of the conversations I've had with Eileen and Carlos has been, not every company is a unicorn. You don't have to build $1 billion company. What is a lot of money to you? You actually have to define what is a lot of money to you.
On that, what is like really got my attention right now?
What?
The most simple of all businesses.
What is?
Dry cleaners, car washes, the basics.
The Cody Sanchez.
The
boring ass businesses.
Fucking boring ass businesses that are just structured. I was talking to a client of mine the other day. She's got 8 fucking car washes. I'm like, that's smart unreal. As shit. She's into the sports nutrition, content creator, Balmar.
Side business.
I'm like, of course, because how do you use your cash to generate cash without having to put a ton of resources and management time and build
she
this
does what?
She's got Balmar Nutrition. She's got archery. She's got these meat sticks. Like, we do snacks for her. She's killing it in 8 different businesses.
She's diversified her.
And now big into the car washes.
That is a conversation I have with some of our clients and athletes all the time. Is the average millionaire has 7 sources of income. And that's average, which means above average, they have 10 to 12 to 15. And that's saying real estate income, like rental income, is one source, right? Like you can have 30 doors, but that's like
a single source.
That's a single source. There's a formula to sustaining wealth and creating wealth, right? So we have these athletes, NFL players or content creators, and they can make $3-4 million in a year. Most of them can spend the money, but they're influencers, so they get hooked up a lot, and they don't really spend all that money. So come tax time, we're like, hey, your bill is looking like $750,000. And they're like, oh, no way. Like, I got to do something. There's got to be something figured out here. And yeah, you could do, you can buy a property and depreciate it. You can buy the G-Wagon. But at some point, year 2 comes by, and now here's another $3 million. And investing in themselves and in their own brand, and in a way that they can create wealth long-term is the right thing to do. But most of them don't even know where to start, right? They're used to getting sponsored, and all these big brands are paying them a bunch of money, and they live life through it. But beauty is the only depreciating asset you have. Like, we're all getting older. So even NFL players, like my career is on average 7 years. So what do you do during that period of time? It's been one of the most exciting things to talk to you about when it comes to your model. And me, business strategy, like we're always nerding out and we're working out, and I'm like, yo, how are you building this? And what are you doing that? But understanding the pain point on that niche, on like these people with high influence and the opportunity they have, but they don't really understand or grasp it. And you've been able to say, like, I know exactly what you guys got to do. Like, check this out. Like, there's so much power in that.
Yeah. So if, like, going back to your points of 7 sources of income, focus on the first one and make the first one work really well for you.
Yeah.
And which is what you see, right? You're either an athlete by trade, or you're a content creator that has hit XYZ in followers, and now you're starting to get sponsorship dollars, or you're whatever, right? You made something work.
Yeah.
That's bringing in revenue. And then now you're like, hey, how do I reinvest this revenue to make more money, right? How do I take this skill that I built, that this is where I'm probably spending 80-90% of my time, and then leverage that skill to build another source of income? So make sure your first one works really well.
For sure.
and then go to your second, third, and fourth. And then there's the different pieces of the puzzle, right? Whether you're trying to build a recurring, cash flow, stream, or whether you're trying to build something for long-term value. But where I'm really diving deep and I'm betting a lot of chips in is the creator economy. So today, the creator economy is about $104 billion. It'll double by 2027.
Crazy.
So this is 2023.
It's a new
few
world,
years, close to $200+ billion. And when you start diving deep into that, you got about 200 million active content creators.
It's
so
fucking insane.
Think about the number there, right? Like this is across like all
and
content
it's all
platforms. This is all platforms from YouTube, OnlyFans, Instagram, all of them, right? Okay. TikTok, and all of them are scaling at different rates. And but the core formula doesn't change. It's you have utilized a platform to distribute a message, adding some form of value to a community and building a raving fan group.
Okay.
Once you've gained that, which is the most valuable and hardest and most complex thing to do, right? Because at the end of the day, they are following you for a reason. But once you now have access to this community, that is where the magic happens, right? So I'm betting big on creator economy because I believe that for generations, you've had large scale brands, right? Like the Gatorades of the world, the Nestle's, all these big brands and all the up and coming brands coming to content creators, influencers, and leveraging their audience by paying them.
Yeah.
Right. And so space stats, like 93% of companies utilize influencer marketing. So it's almost like every single major brand out there is spending marketing dollars on influencers. But for every dollar they spend, the return is about $5.3. Whew. So you're leaving, right, a ton of money on the table.
Money on the table.
And then that gap is what I'm trying to close. So if the creator economy, right, is set to double, and that's just based on actual content creation and the sponsorship dollars, the revenue that they're able to make off of that, the partnerships they're able to set up, like that's just that as a whole. But when I see, and then this is just everybody's doing this, right? So you can see from the Kylie Jenners launching their own brands to the Rock launching
the
what he did with Terramana, all the way to like now like looking at two YouTubers, Logan Paul, KSI, dropping Prime, literally taking on one of the largest, longest standing hydration brands that exist, Gatorade.
And they took a big market share out of them like this.
They already bypassed Powerade.
It's insanity.
So when you look at these things, right? They're on track to do close to, I think, $1 billion.
That's madness. It's huge numbers.
It's 320 mil was actually their book to revenue. And those are two YouTubers, right? Yeah. And then you look at Mr. Beast, probably one of the best YouTubers in the game.
Yeah, the unicorns.
Feastables. First month, 10 mil. First month. Now they have on every single 7-Eleven, their products are fucking sold out, and it's a chocolate bar. So when you start to think about this, the formula is critical. You have the first aspect, which is like get the ability to influence and drive value to a community of people that are willing to listen to you. Okay. Which is what content creators are doing right now. They're already fucking doing that. Yeah. So then what's next? How do you monetize that? How do you give them something, right? Because I'm very big on like, you shouldn't try to extrapolate anything from someone unless you're providing value in return.
Of course.
So unless these content creators are providing something of value, it's only sustainable for so long, right? Where I look at them and I'm like, okay, how many brand sponsorship deals can you take?
I was gonna say that comes to sponsorships because ultimately, like if you're being sponsored by something you don't believe in, you could only do that for so long.
But when the money's right, you question it, and then okay, maybe $5,000. It's not good for you to post this thing that you don't even align with, or you know for sure that your audience is going to have like this is bullshit. This is an ad, right?
And it clashes with your values and what you've been saying.
Might get you a little closer. $20,000. Now you're really thinking about this.
Correct.
Now you're like, okay, this maybe my fans do like this.
Yeah, and then it's like a little post.
At a certain point, the number hits right, and they take things that even don't align with them because the money's right.
Yeah.
And so then now at that moment, you start to lose trust. And the hardest thing is for them to say, no, I'm not going to take that big paycheck, right?
This is not what my community and I stand for.
It's not what I stand for. Yeah. And then that, by default, which is a longer process to connection, that creates a deeper connection with them. And then they trust because they can showcase, no, I turned down XYZ brand because I don't believe it aligns with you and I will never sell you shit. because I don't line it,
incredible.
which is very hard to do. It's very rare.
Have you seen Cristiano Ronaldo was in a and you know he's like ripped. He works out like a monster. His whole thing is I'm gonna outwork everybody, and his diet has been fucking spotless for years. And Coca-Cola was one of the sponsors at one of his post game conferences, and there's a Coke can there. It said Coke in the back, and he moved the Coke. He's like, no Coke. I don't drink Coke. Give me a bottle of water. Take that off. Okay, what's up? What other questions? He knows what he stands for, and he's not willing to give. Now, he's the most followed person on Instagram, right. So it may be easy for him. But the smaller content creators that don't have that brand image, because there's one thing, you mentioned Mr. Beast and the Paul brothers and Cristiano Ronaldo, The Rock, those people have invested in their personal brand. So now whatever they touch, gold. You could take out tequila, you could take out a power drink, whatever. But if I am just, and I look at my NFL athletes or my UFC fighters or NBA guys, or like Jordan was the first content creator. He didn't have a cell phone. He just did unbelievable things on the court that got captured by a camera. And Nike was like, we want that content being represented by our brand, or us representing that. And that was like the first like big influencer that a brand said, here's a ton of money. We're going to build something around you, right? And when you go back to the Michael Jordan model, the first thing they did is, how do we make that brand name something that people are going to gravitate towards? And a lot of my content creators can create the content that they're going to be influential in, but their brand specifically outside of that isn't necessarily bolstered enough for them to take out a product. Like, how do you go from creating content on OnlyFans or creating a fitness content or being an athlete to now I'm this brand name with different products around me, right? Like, what does a process like that look like?
So in my personal opinion, where I'm focused on the creator economy is I believe that creators should be able to get to the point where they've garnered enough of a following and a community to find there's these three pillars, right, that I try to help where the true value lies, right? Okay. And it's, if you grab your audience and truly understand your audience, who they are, what they do, where do they live, what are their buying patterns, what are the potential other places that they shop at, like really understand who they are, then you go after the specific niche in which that audience is best serviced. And you try to truly triangulate between, hey, here's the problem that we're trying to solve for this specific audience that aligns with this niche, right? You find this core piece of true value, which is if I'm able to deliver something, and in right now it's a content format for these content creators, right? They're delivering a content format. They've gotten that attention, but now it's, hey, I know who you are. I know what you're interested in, and I know what problems you're experiencing. And then how do I create something, hopefully in my world, it's a consumer packaged goods, right? In CPG, right? That can solve that problem for you in some way or give you a better option that now attracts that, oh shit, this person that I love, that I look up to, that I'm already following, just launched their own, let's say, snack brand or whatever product it is, right? And now that is a direct connection to me and solving my problems. And it's a nighttime snack. It's a better for me option. It has some protein, has low sugar, has this, has that. Yeah. And so now they create this brand around that. And now that connection between that community member, right, or their audience, and that creator just gets stronger, because now I'm thinking about your problems in that specific niche, and then I'm trying to create something to solve it. Like, so the full purpose has to be around that.
That's a great way to approach it. It's almost like, I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm trying to solve a problem for you, and it's going to bring us closer together as a community because I understand you so well that I am providing something of value to you.
You almost have to feel bad that they don't buy. You almost have to feel that, like, man, if you don't buy, I feel like I'm leaving something off because you're not getting the real value of what I'm trying to give. Like, you have to almost feel so bad that, like, because you believe in your product so much, and then you believe that it's solving that problem. Because at that point, right, when you look at consumer packaged goods, you buy something, you use it, you need to buy it again.
Yeah.
You buy it, use it, you got to buy it again. So let's talk about like just a basic snack, right? That's my world, right? Mm-hmm. So in snacks, like if you think about it, you're probably gonna eat 2 to 3 snacks a week, right? So if you start doing these numbers, you start adding up these things, you're talking 3, 6, 12, like it just starts doubling. Like you start, and then that's loyal fan buying a specific product continuously over time. What's the LTV on that? Yeah. So now when you look at every single audience member that you believe that you can have access to, that you can solve that problem and you can create a product or a brand around it, you solve for 2 things. You solve for immediate cash because you're able to drive a sale immediately because you have access to that community, which is why it works for Kylie, Mr. Beast, The Rock, etc. They already have access.
Yeah, they're monetizing.
The brands are paying content creators to drive and get that access. Yeah. I don't believe they need them anymore. I want to empower the creators to launch their own brands, launch their own CPG brand, and be in power of generating their own money.
That's the key.
Saying, fuck you, brand sponsorship deals. I don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and a lot of them have, right? Like bikinis or leggings but the most interesting part about that is you could only have so many bikinis or so many leggings or so many hats and so many whatever. So athleisure wear or things like that, like they're a valid way. It's a good start. But when you look at it from a business model standpoint, what is something that you can constantly sell to that same client? And for example, like we do a lot of work with fitness influencers or influencers that, they participate in the fitness industry one way or another. And every time you go to the gym, you walk out and you either have a protein shake or you have a bar or you have something. And when you run out, you either pick it up at the gym or you have a stash in your car or you go home and you have it and you're constantly going to do it.
But like leggings, right? Like leggings, bathing suits and all that. If you're not constantly innovating. Right? Dropping like the hottest colors, the hottest cuts, up in trends with materials. If you're not really driving that like a real business, then what gives that consumer the reason to rebuy? If I buy a pair of outfit for shorts, I probably still have the same shit for a year ago. Yeah. Like, it's fine.
I still have the same Reebok sponsor stuff we got when we still have the care package.
I'm still good. Like I have really cool stuff, and if I want to pick something up, I'll pick something up. But like, your total value from that customer over time is how much. Like, and that's what I think you need to look at. I think brands need to, creators need to look at 2 things. One, it's what product is solving what problem for who. Mm-hmm. How big of a connection can you make and what story can you tell around that product? And then does this brand on its own have the ability to outpace me as a creator? Meaning that can the brand stand alone and grow on its own? If you launch an apparel brand or a bathing suit brand or a legging brand, it's really difficult to get that in mass retail because you have bigger players buying up the shelves and having the relationships.
Correct.
But when you look at things like a Feastables or a Prime, you start with your direct-to-consumer driving immediate revenue, and then you turn to retail because the retailers
They need it.
They need it. They want innovation. And the content creators have the ability to drive foot traffic into the retail stores. And that's what they want. So by default...
So now you're not chasing the wholesale. It's coming to you.
You now have access. Because those retailers and those brands are already paying content creators to get access to those followers to get into those stores.
Yeah.
Right?
I see it with the kids a lot.
So,
oh my God. Like I go to Publix and I have the kids in the car and they're like, Dad, Ryan's World or the Ninja Kits or what, and it could be a piece of gum, but it has the kids' pictures on it, and the kids want it. And
that's like, a perfect example, right? It's Ryan's World, right? Everybody's seen this kid. He makes a ton of money just off of content.
Yeah, opening up toys.
But the ability for him to launch his own lines and do deals. So I'm not saying that you only have to launch your own brand.
Yeah.
But he has the ability to go get a partnership deal with Mattel and go do direct deals with Target and Amazon to launch innovative SKUs. Those are large brand sponsorship partnership deals where he's generating revenue. They're partnerships. They're not sponsorships in essence, right? Maybe some of them are, but in reality, it's his name.
Yeah, it's almost like, let's slap your name on this. You get this much equity.
That's it. Or you get this royalty or whatever. But at the end of the day, technically, you're getting a percentage of every sale because of what you created and the content that you're creating and the ability for you to inspire, and influence, right? So I believe that the creator economy has probably the greatest opportunity over the next 7 to 10 years. And I hope that I can wake them up and really be a driving force for creators to launch their own CPG brands. And I'm going to focus only on CPG because I believe that there's a massive upside there.
Well, that's the other thing is not only is the creator economy blowing up, but the CPG economy is blowing up as well. So it's like a combination of two things. It's adding fuel to the fire. And I'll tell you, at a micro level, when I share, especially like this, I'm looking at Randy now, artists, very similar thing. Fade, who's somebody we have a very close relationship with, has done a fantastic job as marketing team to launch Fairchoice merch, which is like his merch. And he's one of the few artists that has been able to like really expand a line outside of his core revenue generation, which is music, to basically have a side business. He's crushing it, right? But I think their biggest challenge is it feels really hard. Like if Mattel or like these large brands are like have these huge conglomerates and they're manufacturing and they have I'm just a content creator. I don't know how difficult it is to figure out my demographics. I don't know how difficult it is to create a branding or what product, where's the value. Like I'll try to understand my people, but like they need a team of advisors. Usually as business managers, we provide that advice, but ultimately they have to see the ease of doing it. And a lot of them are challenged monetarily. Like, how do I monetize this? I really don't know. They're not entrepreneurs.
Like they might have access to the capital, but the know-how and the experience of like, oh shit, like, so that's the thing that I'm trying to bridge, right? Like for a very long period of time, most content creators felt that they were out of reach by being able to launch their own large-scale brand, especially in a CPG space that is so regulated, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're launching in beauty or whether you're launching in food and beverage or whatever the industry you're going after, but in the consumer packaged goods, you have like regulatory bodies, right, that you have to abide by and that you have to play with. You have to deal with manufacturers that create the product, right?
Yeah.
There's MOQs, your minimum order quantities, right, which usually are pretty damn high.
The fulfillment.
Yeah, like where do you warehouse? Where do you fulfill? Like, yeah, maybe some creators know how to set up their e-com store, and Shopify has done a phenomenal job. It is probably the driving business for the creator economy to monetize Shopify, that platform. And so that's where I started by just saying, hey, I'm going to be able to help manufacture for these creators. And, if they're looking for a product, I can help them. To now, I am your partner. I help you. I don't want equity.
Okay.
I help you from A to Z because I understand the hurdle is so big. You don't have to know shit. This is what I do for a living. I bring out snacks for the biggest brands in the world, across the entire world, Canada, UK.
If I could do it for them, I could do it for you.
So it's easy. Yeah. I know every piece of that puzzle, from logo ideation to audience segmentation to understanding how to create a product that adds value to then formulations, recipe development, to actually manufacturing, warehousing, 3PLs. Like it's easy. It's like,
so it actually becomes like a fun process when you think about it.
It's awesome.
Instead of it being this hurdle that like, I don't know how to do it. It's more, I am being walked through a process where I'm figuring out my community, what I can add value to, and I'm actually participating in, I don't like this cookie, add more sugar, add less sugar, this tastes good, this doesn't taste good. Especially like, a lot of them, not a lot of them, all of them really care about their communities and what their communities are putting in their bodies. And luckily for my business, most of our content creators and athletes, like they've built a community where fitness and where a healthy living is a priority. I don't think we have anybody that's like alcohol or whatever or drugs. It's mostly people that care about their community and they care about what they're putting in their body. So I could imagine them creating their own product and saying like, man, I wouldn't put that much sugar in my body. I don't want my people to do it. But the fact that they're able to participate in building that, I think is actually an exciting thing, not a hurdle.
No, yeah. And it's the creation process, but also the hardest thing for anybody to do is to be able to set up that community in a way that you have enough people that care about what you say. That's the hardest, right? And that isn't the piece of the puzzle that I have. But that is the piece of the puzzle that most creators can come to me with, where it's like, hey, I have 100,000, 150,000 subscribers on XYZ channel. This is what my engagement looks like. These are what my stories are like. This is these are the people that I service. Most of them have the analytics from whatever platform, right? Yeah. They know who the hell they're servicing.
Yeah.
And it's, okay, based on what retail is looking for, based on who your audience is, based on what value you're trying to provide them, here's step one. Here's how we create a product that solves this problem for this person while still putting you in the driver's seat of creating your own brand. And then this is how we get that brand to go from ideation to product on shelf. And so that entire process is a done with you process, right? But you already have the hardest piece of the puzzle, which is the ability to drive that sale.
And the second hardest thing, which is the capital in order to invest in your own brand and do it.
Right.
So they have that and the capital. I mean, and I don't know what it would take to launch a brand.
Where are the most amount the content creators that you help? Where are they putting their money, right? Like when they come to you at the end of the year and they're like, "Hey, I have all my taxes that are sitting here. Like, what do I do?"
Because I want to help them save money on taxes. But if you made $3 million and you have 1.5 in the bank, which means you didn't spend it, you're paying taxes on that money no matter what. If there are deductions or there are investments that you've made, you might be able to, right? So, but right now, I mean, some of them buy property, which is probably a smart thing to do. Yeah. You're taking depreciation and you got some rental income. But most of them are going after the depreciation type things, which is I go buy the G-Wagon, which is it's a status symbol and it's
great for content as well. And I love that. Like
and I love being the guy that's like, hey, guess what? Like if you buy a G-Wagon, it'll actually help you with taxes. And they're like, oh shit, upgrade, right? But outside of that, I think a lot of them see launching their own brand as something that's so far away and maybe so expensive. I don't think they have an idea of what it would take. But I will tell you that a lot of them have done the whole, I'm launching an Amazon store, right? And somebody takes 30, 40 grand from them. And 3, 4, 5 months have gone by and it's like, I made $3,000 off of this investment and I don't think it's going anywhere. And the person that sold them the Amazon store has 60 of them and they're kind of like, it's a boom. It's one of these things that come and go.
And ultimately, that is not their platform.
It's not their platform.
And it's not their audience. It's not their products.
It's almost like they're an investor into something else, which is fine. Like they also invest in startups and things like that. And but I think this is something completely different. I think this is something where my identity is injected into this product. My community is into this product. But most importantly, like I'm able to create something that kind of leaves a legacy. What happens after your NFL career is over? What happens after you're done creating content?
And that's the beauty about building your own thing, because there's two sides of value that you drive from launching your own brand, right? Your own CPG company, right? For me, and it's not just so much snacks, right? It's snacks. I manufacture snacks, right? Yeah. Better for you, food-based items, so that I can help manufacture. But whether you want to get into powders, tablets, capsules, energy drinks, quick
supplements,
it doesn't fucking matter. Beauty, it doesn't matter. It's a CPG product, and that's who I want to help, right? It's not just snacks, right? So I want to help them launch CPG products, whether the product is a lipstick or a protein bar.
It's manufacturing.
It doesn't matter, right? It's finding the right manufacturer, setting up the relationship, making sure you have manufacturing agreements in place there's that aspect that's going to be the same no matter what, right? Yeah. And sourcing the whole nine. So you launch your own brand, right? And once you launch your own brand, you're taking a certain amount of capital. Working with me, I'm going to try to make this as low as possible, giving you the biggest upside on your investment, right? Like I don't want you spending on an MOQ with a manufacturer that is so ridiculous that now you're sitting on inventory trying to push the product. And that is why most brands don't get launched, because MOQs are so high, right? Where if they work with me, and they're, I'm helping them launch this brand, I'm eliminating that MOQ, or I'm able to negotiate on behalf of that MOQ for them because I understand how it works.
Of course.
Right? So there's that, right? You launch your own brand.
That entrepreneurial part that maybe they are afraid to tackle because they've never done inventories. They've never handled any of that stuff. And having a coach or a mentor by your side doing it's massive for them.
It eliminates a lot of the risk, right? So everybody can get there. It's in life, if you align yourself with the right people, you can just get there a little bit faster with a little less pain.
Correct.
Period.
Simple as that.
So there's one, you launch your own brand, you're able to generate that revenue. And because you have influence over your community, you're able to drive that sale pretty quickly. And there's metrics and ways to do that, right? Yeah. They're going to continue driving content and creating content, which has got to be the core of it. But now they're introducing their brand and the story behind why they're doing this and the problem they're solving, which will just create another opportunity for them to create authentic content that aligns with their brand, solving problems for their audience. Okay. Second thing is, what happens when you keep creating content you keep growing your audience, you keep driving growth around this brand, and you look back 5, 7, 10 years later, you now have an extremely valuable asset that, independent of you and your name, if done right, can stand on its own, can be sold off, that could be the main focus. Maybe it's not as much content creation, but now there's a bigger purpose of why you're creating that content. Yeah. You can simply pick up one retailer that can change the direction and path of how a creator looks at their business portfolio and revenue streams. And so when the opportunity is so big, especially like you said earlier, right? Like CPG is on fire, and the food and beverage industry right now is probably the driving, force on the grab and go category. Yeah. So if you take advantage of that space and you're in the health and wellness space and you care about like what you're putting in your body and the whole nine, which I think COVID slapped everybody in the face. Hey, you should probably think about what you're eating and what you're drinking. Then now you have this creator economy that's doubling in size by 2027, and you're getting into the hottest industry and the CPG space with your own brand. What happens 5 to 17 years later?
Yeah.
If you do not, this is where I go back to, like, I feel bad that if they do not take advantage of what I am offering, I feel bad. I feel like you are literally leaving money on the table, and 5, 7 years down the road, you're going to kick yourself in the fucking ass because of not taking up on that opportunity. I feel that's how much I believe.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was just talking to a client about this, like, and he became a client now, but I was explaining to him, and he's like, you don't seem like you want to sell me this. And I was like, I don't need to sell you, bro. Like, what I do is something that you really need. You need to get your financials organized. You need to know how much money you make and how much money you spend. You need to have a budget. Like, you need to do your taxes. You need your credit to be pristine. Like, you're this big name, you're making all this money. This is like something basic you need. If you don't see the value in this, it's like, it's okay. It's fine, but I almost feel bad because I'm not doing this to take advantage of you or to sell you something. I'm actually like partnering with you. I'm making sure I'm part of your team so that you can take shit to the next level. And it's kind of the same approach. And I think when you have that approach and that passion for things, you start working with people, and people feel that and see it. And now they want to build this 100%. Brand with you. And
so even to go further on that, I don't need the business. I do very well. I have enough brands and customers in my manufacturing plant that I don't need the business from the content creators.
But you see the opportunity.
But I know the impact I can make.
Yeah.
And if I actually, and I am going to give this 110%, I know that I can be the driving force for creators to launch their own brands in the CPG space. And I truthfully believe that I can make the massive impact in their lives. Yeah. So
I think the bridge to monetization is something that nobody really has a grasp on. I think it's a lot of what you're tackling. It's like, I think they all know what they have, but they don't know what to do with it.
Right. It's almost like you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, I have access to this. Yeah. But what do I do with it?
What do I do with it?
How do I make money?
And I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do all these things. Right. And a lot of them, to be honest, I think a lot of them have tried. But, what is the easiest way to do when you're like launching your own brand or whatever? It's like maybe you buy a bunch of t-shirts, you print on them, and then you create like a little...
Which is why you see that as the easiest kind of...
Correct. And
almost every YouTuber has a mugs and apparel, because it's very easy.
It's quick. Right. It's easy. But is it a long-lasting, legacy-building brand around you where it can transcend your career?
Right. What value is that? What problem is it solving? Right? Somebody having another mug with another image.
That's it.
Or a t-shirt with another design. What problem are you actually solving? Like, how do you create a connection that is like real strong? You can't. Like, I just put it to you like this. Like, if I was a mommy blogger, a big content creator around being a mom, kids, all this stuff, mm-hmm. I would be looking at how can I create a better for you option for kids, because the biggest market that I see that there's a gap is in kids snacks.
I prepare my kids' lunch boxes every day, and it's every day is grab a bag of this, grab a Ziploc and put a bunch of those and piece this together. There isn't like a put it in.
What are your brands? Nabisco Oreos, Doritos, Chips Ahoy, Little Bites, muffins. All of that shit is sugar. It's all fucking sugar.
Yeah,
it's literally killing them. So like there is zero value that is being added with those products.
Correct.
I believe that's a massive gap. I think large scale mommy bloggers and content creators that really care about making an impact can
They should be
leverage
looking
their
at that.
audience and look at how do I close the gap by providing a better for you kids snack. And there will be
It's
something.
coming out.
It's coming.
Yeah. But there's
I
want
want
to
to be the one that helps do that because I believe that that's a gap. And I see all the gaps. I see all the trends. I see all the niches. I see where the things are moving. I see where the consumer buying patterns are. I see it.
Yeah, and what about because this is something I was thinking about. We have a few influencers that actually have monetized their influence in other aspects, not necessarily CPG, and they're crushing it, like $400,000 or $500,000 a month in sales. And I'm like, I don't know the product. Why not? Or like add something that's different from, like, if you're selling leggings and you're absolutely crushing it in leggings, you already know that the people that are buying from you are into fitness. Create a fitness snack that aligns with your people. But again, I think manufacturing, I think inventory management, I think creating a brand, like I think they see a lot of obstacles to it and they don't know how difficult it might be to get there. But if they were to see it, and what is that process like as far as like how long does it take and you know what, like how much effort or whatnot? Because I think that's probably their biggest hurdle of not getting started.
Yeah, it's the unknown and
the
difficulty of what they believe that to be. And I think if you look at it at face value, it is not the easiest to launch a food-based item or a drink-based product if you have to go through the entire process on your own, right?
Correct.
But say you have a brand that is doing leggings or doing another product, so you technically have a brand, right? From that brand, and maybe that's an extension of your brand, right?
Yeah.
Like your personal brand.
Correct.
As a creator. And you have these items that you serve, but you're all serving the same industry. Adding a SKU to that brand is not complicated at all.
No.
It's finding the product or finding the manufacturer, or first finding the product that you believe best aligns with what you're currently selling to that audience, right? So if it's I sell leggings to I'm a fitness influencer or female influencer selling leggings to females, it's okay. Don't you think that a better for you option could add value to the person that is trying to look good in those leggings? And could that help them on their fitness journey? And could that give you a real authentic purpose to talk about why you're adding this item to your lineup? Right? That's the magic, right? It's like, how do you find authenticity in really what you're adding in value? And if you can't find that, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not for you. Find something else, right?
I got you.
And let's say you do have that alignment. The next step is, okay, let's bring this out to market. So for us, if you have a brand, that is extremely easy. I can get a product in market for you in 90 days. From like actually aligning on what the product is once we understand your audience, formulating that product, full packaging design, manufacturing the product, getting that product into a warehouse for you to sell, right? Whether you're dealing with 3PL and all that, 90 days I'll have that product in market for you. And if it's full 0 to 100, you're like, I love the concept of launching my own brand. I have an audience that I really believe aligns with this. And I think let's keep it on the topic of snacks. I think a better for you snack option is something that everybody eats and is looking for. And, I love, like maybe you love a specific type of item. That's easy. If you don't like it, we go into the discovery phase. That's a full 6-month process. And so that 6-month process goes into brand discovery, audience understanding, what is the product that best aligns, why, what's the story behind it, what is an extension of your personal brand, and how does this become a product that you can naturally talk about and believe in, like wholeheartedly.
It's a self-discovering journey almost.
And it is. And we take them through this entire process, right? We're there by them. We're not doing it for them. We're doing it with them because we need them to understand the process of why you're creating this product.
Take pride in the product that you're creating.
Yeah. Because then you're going to naturally go out there and be like, this is why I did this.
Like, I consume this
every day. And they're like, this is why.
You should too. Yeah. Which is ultimately what other people are paying you to say about their product. Now you're just doing it for your own.
And the story of that is really important. So like we'll bring them in, like they'll come in, we'll shoot a podcast, we'll show behind the scenes of them all gowned up, creating the product, them in the R&D lab, they're creating the recipe. Like now they have all this great content of why they're creating this, actually creating and being a part of this process. And then seeing that brand develop from like, hey, here are all the logo styles, here are the color schemes, here's how we go into web dev, like this is how we go into brand development, this is what guidelines look like, this. And so we start to get into the discovery of like, this is what it means, this is how it aligns with them. they're actually selecting and building their brand. And then they see this product come into sampling. They get their friends to try it. They can create affiliate groups where they select the first 100, close inner circle. They're giving feedback on the product. Those people become like the initial kind of like push for that brand. So like you're taking your audience on a journey, right? And I think that's also a cool piece of the puzzle in creating a brand for yourself.
Yeah, and it's even more content creation, which ultimately, if that's what you do, is here's this other aspect of me that maybe my fans or my community doesn't really know about me. Like, I know one of our clients, she's super proud of the brand that she's built, and she really has CEO'd her whole thing.
That's awesome.
From like packaging from her garage with her husband, like very humble beginnings to $300,000-$400,000 in sales, crushing it. And I'm sure if she had a chance to document from the beginning what that journey was like, I think it would be really valuable. I'm actually super into it. I'm telling Randy, like in this, we're going through a cap raise in one of our businesses, and I want to record everything, every meeting. And I don't know if it's going to come out in a documentary one day or not, but I think having the journey recorded and documented of what you went through, and then, like you're saying, seeing it 5, 7, or 10 years later and looking back and be like, bro, remember how we started? Now look at where we've gotten to. What's like the biggest jump you've seen in a CPG brand, like starting from scratch as far as sales?
I think Feastables and Prime are amazing examples.
Yeah.
Like just
those are like the top unicorn.
Yeah, but like
type.
because if you compare yourself to like The Rock or like
but what's like an average influencer? Let's say I have like 3 million followers on Instagram. Like I do TikTok.
So there's
not necessarily OnlyFans, but you know.
So if you have the ability to connect with an audience where the audience is there because you're providing value, and it isn't just like there's this disconnect of no true kind of connection between the community and the
if you have the right engagement.
If you have the right engagement and they're there for a reason, and you're actually providing value to them, then you have a really high chance of doing 6 to 7 figures easily in your first 12 to 16 months.
Holy shit, that's a big number.
Quick. Because we understand the formula of how you actually drop a product, leverage the initial core, use that to create content and push. How do you circle that? Like you can, your first few months, you're doing 30, 40 grand, like just on a drop. And this is not a 3 million, follower count. 3 million follower count, like we're shooting for $1 million year one. Like, that's target. And it's because there's no reason why, if you do the brand discovery right and audience kind of segmentation right, if you do that properly, the value that you're adding out of the gate and the excitement you can create across the journey of that, you'll have that audience there along with you for this ride.
Yeah.
So 4 months in, 3 months in, they're so pumped that the moment you go pre-sales, you're gonna drive some volume.
Yeah, and you also get to like test drive your product, so you know it's gonna be good. And if the product is right and is solving a problem, it's there to stay.
Yeah,
that's the big thing.
Yeah.
From an entrepreneurial standpoint, though, I think a lot of them get, and it sounds kind of counterintuitive because they're content creators and they're constantly pushing, in a way, marketing for other brands or whatnot. But I do think understanding customer acquisition and ROAS and how to turn that business, right? We have a bunch of inventory and fulfillment. We have this great product that connects with the community, but who's actually looking at the financials, at the investment in ad spend, at like all that stuff? That's something that they have to have a team for.
Yeah, and so like that's one of probably the there's two ways to look at it, right? You don't want to overcomplicate launching something. If you know how, and this is very simple. If you understand how to gain the attention by creating the content that gets someone to see something, right? You're able to get one person to see something that you're creating. Okay. And you can tie in that product. Now you have this e-commerce store, and so then really you have an ability to drive someone somewhere to make a purchase, right? And it's pretty simple within your current platforms to either do a swipe up or a link in the bio or click below for the link, right? Because the initial step is really just focused around not even ads, none of that.
You're not starting from zero trying to throw ads and sponsor ads.
Yeah. And this isn't for everybody, right? If you don't have an audience, I'm going to say, look, first thing you need to go figure out is how do you add value to go build an audience and get people to care about what content you're creating, right? So that's step one. If you don't have that, I can't help you at this moment because you don't have the missing piece, right? Yeah. You need to be able to have an audience that we're able to create a product for and add value to. And so once you have that, we start first with, let's really focus on your audience and driving the sale to that community with the minimal amount of like outside pressure. You don't need to be dealing with ad buyers. You don't need to be having like anybody driving 10 different platforms for you. Just keep it simple. E-commerce store, drive the channels you already create content for, and try to figure out exactly what that is able to drive in revenue. Once you have that initial drop, then you start to work off of like, and you can implement affiliate programs early on if that's part of the launch. And that's all, add-ons to like, they go to the e-commerce store and then it's like, hey, add this for it. Like, so you start doing cross sales, upsells, down sells. Those are simple things, but you could ultimately create a single landing page with an upsell feature that's based in like a content link that you're driving.
Yeah, just keep it simple.
And just keep it super simple. And that can be like, you can make a shit ton of money.
It's fucking great.
So I would say first step is start simple, figure out exactly how that is able to drive the revenue. And this is what Mr. Beast and these guys did too, right? Like they dropped e-com, they saw the power of what they were able to do direct to their consumer, and they controlled that sale. They turned around, they looked at, venture capital and said, hey, this is what we're able to do on our own. We have 7-Eleven that wants to take us mass market. Okay, we need $5 million at a $50 million valuation, and we're in our first few months of fucking business. We raise the capital and scale. Now that's much harder to do because he has it's a completely different animal.
He's got a team, but
yeah, and he's also one of the
now you're talking my language. Now I'm like, hey, as your business manager, we need to take this to another level. Like let's
correct.
Let's take it to another level.
That's where you're able to see this. Say, guys, you're at this point, you're doing X amount in revenue from your other business, right? From whatever your main revenue stream is. Now we're going to invest X amount of dollars into launching your own brand. And your first 6 months are focused on really providing the value to your community and showing the metrics that it works. Once the metrics work, you're able to say, oh, I want to reinvest from my own proceeds because I see the opportunity here and I know how much money I'm making. Or, oh, I have access to XYZ company because I was able to approach these. And then now we need this much capital. I'm willing to put this much, but I need outside sources. And then that's really where you're able to kind of take them to that next step.
Super dope, bro. Talk about Master Foods. Talk to me about it. Like, what's that experience been like building this business and ups and downs, obviously, but like we had never been in manufacturing and like we didn't, I don't know if the cameras were on, but Mike and I were partners for many, many years. We're still brothers and partners in many things, but we were never in the manufacturing world or industry. I don't think you ever even planned to be there, but as a good entrepreneur, you saw an opportunity to make an impact in the world. And one of the things that I share with you that probably makes us good friends and partners is we're not necessarily money driven. We enjoy money and what money can do for us and our families, but ultimately we want to make an impact in the world and you want to leave this place better than we found it. And that driving factor is important, but Master Foods.
Yeah. So in 2019, my wife got diagnosed with MS, Britt. And that made me kind of rethink life. It made me take a step back. And I think sometimes you need that gut punch in life. And when I took a step back, I really realized that I wouldn't say lost, but I would say I wasn't fulfilled. My purpose wasn't I wasn't being pulled in the direction that I felt that I was going. And I'm a very passionate, emotional person. I'm driven by like the desire to make an impact, right? And at my core, I want to make an impact in the life and change the lives of millions and millions of people for the better. That's like my life's mission, right?
It's part of the fitness industry for you,
right?
Like
the fitness, the nutrition, the supplements.
That is the driving factor.
That's what I care about, right? Yeah. And I've been doing that through multiple vehicles. And when I came back in 2019, it was October of 2019, and it was one, dealing with the personal kind of, being there for her. And, I had a newborn during the time that I was going to New York City. I would fly up every Monday, come back every Friday. I wasn't really there for the first 2 years. So there was this whole shit, like I really got to learn how to be here again. Like there's this whole aspect that like, I everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It was a shitty thing to happen, but like, thank God that it brought me back home, because I saw what really mattered in life, and that's family. And so when I had that gut punch and I took a step back, the next thing that I did and that I was going to pour my heart into had to be something that made such an impact in so many lives and was so grand, so big, that it would drive me for a very long time, right? It was that 15, 20, 30-year thing, because I'm a long-term player. I love playing the game. I have talking about exit strategies and all that, I have a strategy. But I know that if I build a very successful, cash flow positive model, who the hell doesn't want to buy something in one of the hottest industries?
Of course.
Right? So
you exit when you want to. That's the strategy.
Yeah, that is the strategy. I will build this over the next however many years until the knock comes on the door and says, hey, what you have, I will pay this for. Yeah. And then maybe we start looking at it, unless I just
if it doesn't, you keep making money.
Keep running, and I'm going to continue to enjoy, because the work that I'm going to be doing is really fulfilling. So when that happened, it was all about trying to find, okay, what was that big thing? I've always been ahead of the curve when it comes to trends, right? So when I started CrossFit in 2006, nobody in hell knew what CrossFit was.
First CrossFit license in Miami.
It was like one of the first ones in South Florida. So when we launched digital streaming, we were so early in digital streaming in 2016 that like you had Peloton and Aptiv, we were way early. Yeah. And now when you look at better for you snacking, functional foods, manufacturing, that is such a growing. So like, when we were building all the CrossFit gyms and all that, you had brands like RX Bar, right? They started out of the CrossFit community, sold for $660 million.
Insanity.
Okay. You had guys that have been
Killcliff, you had like
all these like sports nutrition brands, but the bars in specifically, $340 million for one bar with Ron. Then you had Quest building their brand off of the Quest bar, right? Through that time to like a $1 billion exit. And when I saw that, I said, damn, that's protein bars. But what about all the other items that could be in the snack category, right? What about the brownies? What about the muffins? What about the cookies? What about
chocolate chip
and
cookies?
So then you see cookies, and then you look at, okay, what is Lenny and Larry's doing? Oh, they're doing about 121 million with just their cookies a year. Okay, cool. What is Quest doing? 91 million. Interesting. They, in my opinion, aren't great products.
They're nothing special. It's just they're the ones
special,
that are in the space.
But they're the ones that have dominated the CPG category against that product, had a brand that was able to demand shelf placement and be able to get the actual distribution because there was no competitors in the space.
Yeah.
And so today, when you want to go create a product that's in the baked goods category and all that, when I started looking, I found maybe one or two different manufacturers in the US. And I said, you got to be kidding me. There's no way.
There's the impact.
Called them. And I said, okay, what's the MOQ? What's lead time? What's all this stuff? 10-month lead time. 6-month lead time. 350,000 MOQ, right? 350,000. Even if you said it was $1, which is probably a little bit higher.
You have to be willing to launch next year, and you have to be willing to invest a gazillion
Not only
dollars
that, what happens when you launch?
in order to even launch?
Yeah, no, you launch, you spend the money, you wait 10 months, and then your lead time is, let's say, another 4 or 5 months before you reorder. Now I got to spend put another purchase order in, put money down. I'm out of capital and I got to wait 4 months. You'll never live in retail. It'll never work.
And there is no solution for this middle market of, as you're saying, people that have influence that could launch their brand and they're not going to order 350,000
and not shoving
pieces.
350,000 pieces down their throat.
So now you're recognizing the opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's probably when Master Foods just clicked.
Well, the Master Foods before the creator space was more around, hey, there's these brands in the space that already have sports nutrition products, whether it's a protein powder, amino, pre-workout, and there's shelf demand, meaning that there's the brand on this side. So I almost went into this like pre-setting the entire thing, where it's like I saw that the retailer had placement on the shelf. Okay. There was consumer pull. So the consumers were coming in asking for on-the-go category products for functional foods and energy drinks, right? The energy drink category was exploding. This was 2020, right? So like in 2020 is when I really started to dive deep into this. Okay. And when you see like the brands like Vitamin Shop, GNCs, and these brands were for sports nutrition specifically, and you see the consumers walking in and looking for snacks, looking for the energy drinks, but then when you look at the offerings, you're like, damn. It's short-sighted. Yeah. And then you look at the brands that are in placements and there's all these great brands that have the ability, if you were to give them a good SKU, a good functional snack, better for you, that aligned with their consumers and their audience, it would be an easy sell to GNC and Vitamin Shop. So that was the initial driving force, where it was, okay, 2021, launched a company, and we started with nut butters. Then from nut butters, we went into cookies. Then from cookies, we went into brownies. Then brownies into muffins. And now we do muffins, Rice Krispie treats, cupcakes, protein bars, extruded slabs.
The amount of things that are possible.
Yeah, all in the, we specialize in baked goods, but across, we go into bars as well. But now it's really like the creators have my attention.
Yeah, because now you already got the big brands.
I have big brands, right? Like I'm already mass market. I'm everywhere. But when you look at what's coming next, if I give them the opportunity to get in the game, I believe that if I bet on them, they can become the next 10, 15, $20 million unit brand where they start small.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm willing to take that bet with the right ones.
That's super dope, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I just got the wave from Randy. We're about to hit it. Ultimately, and as the last thought, because we're probably gonna have to shoot another one of these. But as the last thought, when it comes to you as like their partner, right? How far do you go with them once they've blown up, right? Like, and because you mentioned you're not only gonna be your manufacturer. Like, I'm interested in your brand and your community for you to blow that up, but you're such a hardcore entrepreneur that you are going to be able to guide and mentor a lot of these people way past just launching a brand and into like leaving a legacy. How much does that mean to you? Because you're talking about creating an impact. And one of the similarities I see between you and I is I like creating an impact through entrepreneurs, right? Like I want to do business strategies around entrepreneurs, help them raise capital, because I believe if their product is successful and their product is solving a problem, now I'm impacting millions of lives. And you're taking the approach with the influencers. What does that mean to you when it comes to like mentoring and talking to people and using your experience and leverage your experience to say like, hey, you really could do this. You really have what it takes. I got you. Trust me. Like, what does that mean to you?
You know, the biggest thing is that if they can open their eyes and see what they have, and the fact that by not launching their own thing, they're leaving a huge opportunity on the table is probably my primary focus. Because if I can get the right ones to open their eyes, they have unbelievable potential. So the first step is getting them to believe that it's possible for them when they see it from others in a space that is pretty difficult to kind of get into, but it is the hottest thing to get into right now. And once we help them for the first 6 or so months, right, get that entire brand discovered, find the product, get to market, then the next piece of that puzzle is I don't have to be involved, but there will be the ability for me to be involved and continue to help them down that road. Because I think getting to a launch point is very difficult to do. And yes, it takes a lot of work and the whole nine, but like you haven't even started.
Building sustainability is where
it's like you launched a product in market, but you haven't even really started, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now the real work starts.
Yeah.
And it's how do you actually leverage what's happening in the space with the relationships and access that we have and the experience that we have, and then how can I connect the dots for these brands to make sure they're successful? So there's a much, much larger play here than, hey, I help you bring a CPG brand to market. It's how do I help you bring a CPG brand to market and then give you the tools and resources and be there for you so that you make the right decisions to build this long term and have something that has the highest chance of being a success. Because you can launch something, but like making sure that it's successful is where it gets tricky. There's a lot of moving pieces, right?
Yeah. Like so powerful, bro.
Yeah. So I think that's
powerful.
It's a long-term play.
I'm proud of you, bro. Congratulations. You should be proud as fuck. We got to do this one. I promise you we'll do another one soon.
Thank you,
Love
buddy.
it, bro.